Instead, we get love it or leave it, and flag lapel pins, First Amendment zones, extraordinary renditions, torture, which we were actually conditioned to support in a majority of people polled, and it's torture. It's against everything we have always stood for. It's against international law, and we were convinced to poll in favor by good margins. Not like 51-49, like 60-65% of people approved the use of torture. Unbelievable. And then we get these instances where you can't hold anybody accountable because of executive privilege, state secrets, and from that come no-bid contracts, presidential signing statements, domestic surveillance, security checkpoints, the TSA now, and the rampant expansion of the Department of Homeland Security, which hasn't provided any tangible benefit other than being molested when you try to travel. And people very seriously still tell me, well, if you don't like it, don't fly. Well, I'm an American citizen, and I have the right to move about my country. I have a Fourth Amendment right. And people very seriously, with no sense of irony, say, well, then don't fly. And those people will soon find out that now the TSA is moving into train stations. They're moving, such as Amtrak train stations, but they're also moving into light rail stations. There was a story recently where a family was searched after they got off a train. And I'm talking about things like the subway in New York, the L in Chicago, stuff like that, light rail. Definitely, probably Washington, D.C. Metro would probably be the first on the list for that. And then before long, when you have laws like the one in Arizona where they can check people without probable cause for their papers, eventually the TSA is going to be able to stop you on the road. And it's the incrementalism and the march of these invasive violations of our liberties that we really have to stop now while we can. And Ron Paul speaks to this in every issue that you could possibly have be your pet issue. This is a real threat to us. And basically all these government plans are the problem, and that's the easy way to say it. It's a soundbite. And if we really want an equal and just society, we should start by removing this tangled web of restrictions and regulations on the American people, which kill the innovative spirit and productive impulses of a prosperous society, and at the same time cut the massive giveaway subsidies that we give to the big business special interests, and allow the consumer and producers to enter into the free market on a level playing field where all things such as insurance, automotive insurance is a great example. It's deregulated, no government interference or managed plans. You can buy it across state lines. You can buy exactly what you need at a competitive price, and direct opposition to the entirely unmanageable problem of healthcare insurance. And so you get things like in the free market insurance, wages, a loaf of bread, a gallon of gas, interest rates on borrowed capital. All those things will find their proper price and appropriate value in a free market free from government intrusion. That being said, I always like to come back to the example of the Soviet Union, which was said to have failed because it was rotting from the inside. And to a large degree, that was directly paralleled today in our pursuit of empire and central planning. That's exactly Ronald Reagan, who I've never been a fan of the guy. Like I said, I'm a lifelong Democrat. I got the dogma ingrained in my nugget. But Ronald Reagan pushed them to do their own thing. And now we are following in lockstep right behind them, as if dragged along by a tether. And it's inevitable that if we continue on this course, we'll meet the same result. And despite this, which is not difficult knowledge to get your head around, the American electorate are given no real options. We are only presented with status quo, establishment-approved team players who are not truly separated by party, but only by degrees to which they support big government, fascist tyranny run wild over individual liberty and freedom of choice. We've tried and traveled Keynesian road to socialism, and we've arrived at a point of capitulation to which we are now under the control of a corporate-sponsored, authoritarian big brother, which is dictated in total secrecy by bankster puppet masters who are accountable to no one. No government of the world, no country, no electorate. They're not accountable to anybody. They're national, globalist corporations, and all these central banks are private enterprises which the government has given their right to produce money to, and they're exploiting it. If you do any research, which if you're watching this, I'm sure you know all about it, you know that it's nothing's by accident. This is all scientifically approached. So, in response to all this, I think it's obvious that not only is Ron Paul the only candidate who has the courage to actually defend the Constitution, Ron Paul is the only candidate who respects the morality of American values enough to take ownership beyond the empty rhetoric of platitudes that we see from every other politician for probably the past 50 years. Ron Paul is a man of unimpeachable devotion to the spirit of 1776, and indeed, Ron Paul is the best man to serve as defender of our liberty and champion of our Constitution, and indeed, Ron Paul is the best man to serve the office as the President of the United States of America. But don't take my word for it. You should get involved today if you are not already. You can visit ronpaul2012.com, or a Google search will bring up plenty of opportunities to get involved locally, donate, find outreach materials to talk to your friends. It's time to join the revolution. Reclaim your liberty and restore America now. Thank you very much for your time.